Hi everyone, I just thought I'd do a quick video of converting water system in a caravan or a motorhome. Basically just converted to this motorhome from a caravan. Obviously quite a few differences, but obviously the main difference for the majority of motorhomes got onboard tanks. Majority of caravans haven't, although some have. You would not tend to travel with much water in a caravan tank because of the weight sort of thing. Water's heavy, it's about a kilogram, well, it is a kilogram per litre. So if you've got a 120 litre tank, that's 120 kilograms, which is like another person sat in the corner sort of thing, or in your caravan. Anyway, I bought this motorhome. It's got a water tank here in the back corner, which is either 100 or 120 litres, I'm not sure. And it got a submersible pump in it, so this was sat kind of like at an angle like that. This goes up to a fitting which takes the water to the outside of the tank, and then that then goes to a T-piece which goes to the water system. What I found was, whilst I was filling the tank, I wanted to fill the hot water tank as well when I arrived on site, so I kept nipping inside to turn the pump on and found that it wasn't pumping, and I had to put quite a lot more water in before I could get the system to start filling with water to fill the hot water tank, etc., and then finally fill the tank up, just so that I went onto the pitch with the most amount of water. And what you tend to find with these submersible pumps is that they need to be submersed, and they need to be in water, sort of at least sort of that level. If you know whatever angle this pump is at, it needs to be fully submersed so that the water will fill the pump. They will not self-prime. So for instance, if I only wanted to put that much water in my tank, okay, which might be, I don't know, let's say 20 litres, and that would do me for, while I was travelling, maybe staying overnight, doing whatever on my way to a site, that amount of water is not sufficient for this to prime. Also in the system is this, which is kind of a bit of a pain and something that you don't want to have to do, because this is the whale pressure switch, which is fitted to virtually every caravan or motorhome that's got a pressurised system. Now, many years ago I had a Swift Conqueror, had one of these in. This, by the way, has also got the non-return valve in it. I had a Swift Conqueror and I got one of these, and I found that sometimes we were on electric hookup, sometimes we weren't. The difference is the battery voltage. The difference to the pump is the voltage, or the amount of power it's got to be able to attain a certain pressure. So when you're not on mains hookup, the battery level is lower, obviously. So the voltage level is lower, and this pump will not attain the same pressure. So therefore you need to adjust the switch. And as your battery goes down, say over a couple of days, you keep needing to adjust this switch. I came across an electronic pressure switch which I put in line with this and basically disconnected it. Still need to keep this in because it's a non-return valve as well. And this electronic pressure switch was really good because it adjusted itself to the voltage that was available to it each time it was powered up. But I can't seem to find anything like that, and this is sort of like 10 years or so later. So anyway, after having a couple of caravans with inline pumps, I decided that was the way to go, because the other thing is these do not like going dry. If you run these dry, they will burn the impeller out, because it is just like a flappy rubber thing in a housing, and it will destroy itself. Whereas these things can run dry because of the way that the diaphragms work. It can run dry, and you can get a lot more pressure and flow from these sort of things. So basically what I did, I ripped out this pump and everything, all the fittings, and decided what I needed. And I needed basically a suction pipe that goes into the tank. So I've got a short piece of pipe the end of which is cut at an angle so it can't just sit on the bottom of the tank and try to suck the bottom of the tank up. That goes to the pump, into the pump there's a strainer, then coming out of the pump into a T-piece to my system, and then immediately after the T-piece is a surge damper. Now I was told by the guy at the shop I didn't necessarily need to fit a surge damper, but I thought I would, because if I got home and had problems with the pump hunting, I didn't have to go back and alter the pipework and fit a surge damper, so I basically thought I would. A surge damper is basically a small accumulator, and it allows, I think it's got like a little bladder in it, and it allows it to be squeezed, and it takes up pulses basically, or surges. So I finished fitting it now. I'll give you some views of where I've put stuff. Just managed to fit the pump in, tried it, it works really well. This is the 20 psi 10 litre a minute Shurflo pump. I went for this one, sort of recommended from a couple of forums I've been on. 20 psi is plenty, as you'll see from the taps. But the important thing is the 10 litres per minute. You know, the better flow you get from that, the more water you get at your tap, sort of thing. It won't slow down. You can get a high pressure pump with a low flow. So for instance, if I could get a 45 psi 7 litres a minute, when you turn the tap on initially you get this massive flow and it would slow down. Whereas what I tend to find is the 20 psi one, that's the static pressure in the system, and then the 10 litres a minute, that is the flow that will continue. So when you turn the tap on, you virtually notice no drop off in flow. You've got good pressure initially and it continues. So I'll show you around. So this is the basic setup in the back bunk. The tank is there in the corner. The outlet comes there, so the outlet then goes into the pump, and there's a strainer there, because I did notice in the tank you get bits of sand and stuff like that which is out of the water. Then the outlet comes through there, that goes to a T-piece. Next to that T-piece is the surge damper, and then basically that's into my pipework on the van. I'll show you what the flow like is at the taps. So this is the hot tap, and as you can see the flow more or less continues. You can hear the pump, it's not too intrusive. In a minute I'll put the seats back and you can see how intrusive it is then. Trying the cold. The pump will always shut off quicker on the cold tap because it's not got the water heater to pressurise, sort of thing. So if we look at what the shower will be like, I think that's pretty much going to be what you might describe as a power shower. Okay, so I've put the cushions back on because the cushions can act as a little bit of a sound damper as well. I don't know whether you could hear the pump running previously. So what I'll do now, I'll run it again and you can see what it sounds like with the cushions in place. So you can just basically hear the pump in the background. It's not intrusive really. I could probably live with that. I was looking at probably having to put some kind of damper underneath the pump. It is sat on 4 rubber feet and I have screwed it to the floor, but I think for me that'll be fine. So I've now got the ability to just put a little bit of water in my tank that I can travel with, that's just enough for whatever I need until I get to a base, sort of thing. So quite happy with that. Cost altogether was with the pipe and the pump and the surge damper, about £80. So thanks for watching.